Welcome to Buzzed and Baffled, the podcast where the wine flows, the stories twist, and the truth is always stranger than fiction. We laugh, we sip, and we dive into tales that leave us buzzing with questions and baffled by reality.
But before we uncork the weirdness, a quick disclaimer. We're not experts, just curious storytellers with glasses in hand. All content within this podcast is our humble opinion. Some content may be dark, disturbing, or downright inappropriate, so listener discretion is advised. And remember, nothing pairs better with a wild story than a good pour, so let's get buzzed and baffled. Any color you want to add, but don't spoil it, like fucking David did yesterday.
We got in the car and David's like, so are you going to be doing Dahmer tomorrow?
Since Swing's coming over.
I said, I don't know, David.
Fucking David. All right. Are we recording?
We are.
Okay.
We are recording episode 22.
22.
I was so unsure.
We're doing a time flip-flop again, so this episode that we're recording right now is going to be released in 2 weekends because we will be out of town. Mm-hmm. So we're doing a time flip.
We will be side-by-siding.
We will be.
I'm excited.
Anyways, we have a very special guest with us today.
Jail Dale in the house.
Jail Dale in the house.
Jail Dale wants to know why you call her Jail Dale.
Because you're Dale and you work in the jail.
And it rhymes.
And it rhymes.
Yeah. She asked me that and I was like, I think probably just because it rhymes.
I didn't know if there was a meaning behind
nope,
it. Or...
and it's funny. So
no, I love it. I thought maybe there was another Dale.
Well, and I refuse to call you Swinger.
And why is that?
I don't know. It just feels wrong to call the jail and be like, is Swinger there?
You have to call her Swinger at the jail.
Call the jail, but
I'll 100% call the jail. Is Jail Dale there? And they'll be like, yeah, she's right here.
Yep.
Jail Dale is my mom. For those of you who don't know, Jail Dale, aka Swinger.
And so now both our mothers have been on the pod.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Now we got moms of the pod.
Moms of the pod.
Yeah.
Oh, I forgot I was going to take your mom's picture.
Oh, yeah. I'm sure she wants you to do that at this exact moment.
Oh, I'm gonna.
Do it.
Smile.
You're going to get some weird AI shit with that microphone in your face.
That's all right.
Okay. I'm just going to preface this with a couple
we got to do the wine. We don't want to miss out on this glorious wine that you got.
Yeah, I wasn't really sure how to find... I mean, sometimes we try to find like a themed wine or something that's adjacent to the story we're going to tell. And this one, I was like, there's no way in hell I'm going to find a wine for this. But I looked and I kind of did. And there were some options, but I didn't want to get grotesque with this because the story is bad enough on itself.
But why? That's my whole thing.
You'll know. You'll
get it.
So yeah, go ahead and do it.
So this monstrosity that she brought to me is called Relax, and it's a cool red.
And I just found out that you do not chill red wine.
Unless it's this one.
I did not know.
Yep.
No, you were not supposed to. Like maybe just slightly, but they're supposed to be room temperature. But Relax, Cool Red, is a fun and fruity red wine with flavors of black cherries and plums, complemented by soft tannins and a touch of sweetness. I'm willing to bet it's going to be more than a touch.
Mm-hmm. It's going to be so bad.
Enjoy this versatile wine, slightly chilled as a cocktail or with foods ranging from cheeses to appetizers to hamburgers and pizzas and comfort foods.
It sounds like when you get something from China and you can tell they just did like Google Translate to get the instructions.
It's like bad English words together. Like
Yep.
I always wondered what a pizza red wine would look like.
I wondered if this would go well with hamburger gravy.
Oh, I'm sure it would.
Probably.
I mean, I
The
think
bottle is really the pièce de résistance because it is you
Bright
cannot
red.
see through it. First of all, it's completely opaque and it's bright red and silver. It's very 80s.
I will say this wine had better not be like the Choco wine where it's like dark brown and like milky. This had better be like actual see-through.
The wine is also opaque. It looks like a ketchup bottle, actually.
That's actually the color of it.
Let's unscrew this baby. It does look like a ketchup bottle. I'm not going to do this over my white chair.
Wise. Ooh, that's a bad color. It looks
I
like
can't wait to
Coca-Cola.
taste this,
Yeah.
because you know what's going to happen? I'm going to
I
love
think
it.
You're
I
gonna
poured a
love it.
little more than I should have.
I'm probably going to love it. And I do not drink it all, and I cannot stand the taste of liquor. Because this is so bad, it's probably going to be one that I've been
Yeah,
like, I love this.
I wouldn't call this red wine. I would say this is more brown wine.
It looks like Coca-Cola syrup that's been sitting in the bottom of the bag for too long.
Well, here we go.
Bottoms up,
Oh,
ladies.
no. Oh, that is sharp.
Oh, I wish you could see the look on Nicole's face right now.
Okay. This, let me say, if this wasn't a wine, it wouldn't be bad. Does that make sense?
How can it both lack any discernible flavor, but also be so sharp at the same time?
It's sour. If this was some kind of mixed cocktail like neat, it would be okay, but it's not a wine. This is not. I mean, on paper it might be wine, but
If this was any other bottle of wine we opened, I would assume that it had turned to vinegar and gone bad.
Oh, boy. I just smelled it.
That was your first
it's
mistake.
not.
Okay, here it goes.
It's not like sharp liquor.
That is terrible.
Yeah,
It's like, it tastes like apple cider vinegar.
A little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
That's exactly what it tastes like to me.
yeah. It has the tang of vinegar.
Maybe this is something that's been sitting in the back of the closet of the theme of our story today.
I mean, it could be. And once I saw it, I was like, oh,
I hope you did not spend more than $7 on that.
I think it was like $12.
Oh, geez, you
I
got
know.
ripped off.
But
You could cook with it, though.
yes, yeah, I could definitely, yeah,
Definitely cook
yeah.
with it.
I'll save it for cooking.
Like put it to soften up a steak or something.
Yeah, it'd be good in a marinade. Yeah, because it's acidic, it's tangy. Yeah, this and like some rosemary and oregano would be a bomb ass marinade. So, but I did pick it because it just said, relax.
So I think we're unanimous that people should not buy Relax.
Yeah, relax.
Cool Red.
Relax. Cool Red is not going to sponsor us. Please also do
So
not sponsor
I
us.
am going to go to the backup of the pail.
Yeah, walking
Do you
in.
want to try this one?
Yes.
Walking in, my mom was like, "You guys have
This is a nice even
two wines?" I was
semi-dry.
like, "Well, yeah, because this red wine's going to be shit, and then we got to drink this other one that we actually have a wine." Okay, I think she likes the red better.
The red is better. And I'm not even oh, boy.
Here, you can have this.
No. I'll just drink the Diet Coke.
She's
Or,
got-
what do we call this?
Fridge sig.
She's got her fridge sig.
Yeah, fridge things.
Dale does not like rosé.
That was terrible.
Dale doesn't drink, so let me just
all.
tell everyone
Yeah.
that she doesn't drink at all. So anything with even a hint of alcohol
It's
is
disgusting to me. Ooh.
Okay, so you punished me with this red wine. How are you going to assault my ears?
badly. Okay, so now I'm going to go into my little prologue here. Put down that fucking squirt gun.
I'm waiting.
I don't want to say I struggled with this one, but I wanted to be very careful about how I presented it, for reasons that you'll find out. We all know the story. This is about Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm just going to say it right now. This is the Dahmer episode. We were eventually going to have to do it.
You say have to, like I don't present horrifying serial killer stories every other
You'll
episode.
get it.
Yeah.
You'll get it, though.
Okay.
Eventually.
Okay.
There's some personal connection with this story, and I didn't want to tell it just for the sake of telling it.
You don't want to be glib.
Yeah, I didn't want to be, this is the grossest, most horrifying thing ever. Let's talk about it. If we did not have this connection to this story, I would not have told you this. So let me just say that for our listeners, I'm not telling this to shock and awe because everyone already knows. Everyone already knows about Jeffrey Dahmer.
Correct.
The purpose of this story is to bring in this personal connection and shock you with that rather than what he did, because we all know he was a horrible, horrible human being.
So it's what's wrong with you, not what's wrong with Jeffrey Dahmer.
Yeah, I guess you can put that. And there are some graphic things in here, but I tried to keep it, again, because that wasn't the purpose of this story. But, I do have to tell some of the facts. Some of our listeners may not know as much detail, and I did not go into everything. That would probably be a 4 episode if I went through everything. But I wanted to keep this one.
If we want to, we could always record more later, and we could just put it on the website. And if people want to listen to it, they can.
Yeah, we could do that. I don't know that I want to.
Okay.
I'm just going to jump in. So I want to just give that as my little, not so much a disclaimer, but reasons for doing this. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey Lionel Dahmer was born on May 21st, 1960 in Milwaukee, Wisconsin, to Lionel and Joyce Dahmer. Lionel was a chemistry student at Marquette University, and Joyce was a teletype instructor. I had to look up what a teletype was, because I didn't know.
Is it like a court? Is it a court?
No, it's like an old-ass fax machine. Like fax before fax.
So did someone call and tell them what it was on the telephone and she typed it out, or what?
No, it was like the precursor to fax.
Okay.
So you still electronically sent things, but it wasn't... I don't really know. Swing, what's a teletype?
I really don't know what it is.
Yeah, other than being fax before fax. That's really
fax before fax. I don't know how it works.
I'm going to look it up.
I couldn't really figure out how it worked, and I was like, I don't care about it that much, because it has nothing to do with the story other than what Joyce did. Mm-hmm. Jeffrey's childhood was difficult. His father was away often due to his university studies, and his mother suffered from hypochondria and depression, and once attempted suicide by trying to overdose on Equinil, an anxiolytic. Jeffrey later recalled that he felt, quote, unsure of the solidity of the family, end quote, and there was constant fights and tension between his parents. When he went to elementary school, one of his teachers noticed that Jeffrey, who was described as quiet and timid, began exhibiting signs of abandonment. When Joyce became pregnant with her second child, the symptoms increased. In 1966, shortly before his brother David was born, the family relocated from Milwaukee to Ohio. I said phone's on silent, Nicole.
Sorry.
When Jeffrey was 4, he watched his father remove some animal bones from underneath their house. He thought this was when his fascination with dead animals started, as he mentioned later in his life. He was enamored with the sounds the bones made as they were being moved, and he started searching for bones around their house and in the woods. He called them his fiddlesticks. Yeah, I don't like that.
I don't like that at all.
Nope. Later, at about age 10, his family was eating a chicken dinner, and Jeffrey asked his father what would happen to the chicken bones if they were put into bleach. Thinking his son was taking an interest in chemistry, wrong, Lionel showed Jeffrey how to safely bleach and preserve animal bones.
He was so optimistic.
Mm-hmm. The same year, Joyce increased her use of Equinil, laxatives, and sleeping medication, further isolating herself from the family. We have a very...
So she has a lot of mental health problems.
Yeah, we have a very unhealthy family dynamic from the start. When Jeffrey started high school, he was viewed as an outcast and began drinking heavily at age 14. A classmate recalled him drinking scotch in a morning history class, claiming it was his medicine.
Well, and if you've ever watched the Netflix movie about him, which is really good, you can see him drinking in school. And I guess because it was the 70s, they're like, whatever.
And you have to be drinking heavily at a young age if scotch is your drink of choice in the morning as a high schooler.
At like 8 a.m., 9 a.m.
You know, most teenagers are drinking
Boone's Farm,
whatever beer they stole from their dad.
Maybe some Relax, Cool Red.
Well, speaking of the Netflix documentary, when I saw that, I was like, just relax. That's why I picked it. In his later teens, he discovered he was gay, but he did not come out. This was also when his fantasies of dominating a completely submissive male partner began. When he was 16, he noticed a male jogger in the neighborhood and found him attractive. He hid in the bushes with a baseball bat, intending to knock out the runner and have a sexual encounter with his incapacitated body.
You know, normal things that you do.
Mm-hmm. Fortunately for the runner, he did not jog by that day. Jeffrey said that this was his first instance of attempting to attack someone. So we're starting age 16. We've got these things leading up, and we've talked about the serial killer triad, overbearing or unstable mother, obsession with animals.
Hurting animals.
I don't know fire or bedwetting.
Both are present.
I mean, I know they are, but in his case, I don't know. I don't think he has any history of fire starting, and I don't know about bedwetting.
I'm going to guess with the amount that he drinks, there's probably some bedwetting.
That could be. His parents divorced in 1977, and early in the divorce proceedings, things were amicable but became increasingly bitter. Another thing added here. Lionel moved out of the family home in 1978, a few months before Jeffrey graduated high school. In violation of a court order, Joyce took her younger son and moved in with family in Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin. She was later awarded full custody of David. And this is kind of how the courts worked in the 70s. She illegally took her son against a court order, but still ended up with custody.
Well, it was a mommy state.
Jeffrey was already 18 and stayed in the now vacant home in Ohio. 3 weeks after his high school graduation, Jeffrey committed his first murder. He picked up Stephen Mark Hicks, an 18-year-old hitchhiker. Stephen Hicks was going to a concert at a nearby park, but agreed to accompany Jeffrey to his house to drink beer. Jeffrey later admitted that he was attracted to Hicks, but when he began talking about girls, he knew any advances he would make would be rebuffed by Stephen. After several hours of drinking, Hicks tried to leave, but Jeffrey didn't want him to, so he picked up a 10-pound dumbbell and struck him twice in the back of the head. After Hicks fell, Jeffrey strangled him with the handle of the dumbbell. After acting out his fantasy, which we know what it is, I'm not going into it, he dragged Hicks's body into the basement, and the next day dissected the body and buried the parts in a shallow grave near the backyard. He's 18 right now. After several weeks passed, he dug up the body and removed the remaining flesh from the bones. He put the flesh into acid to dissolve it and flushed the mixture down the toilet.
How does that not clog the toilet?
And I'm not telling people how to dissolve bodies here, but if the acid is strong enough, it will dissolve those fats to the point where they will not bond to each other anymore.
But it won't erode the pipes.
No.
Interesting.
Because what it's doing is it's breaking down the proteins and liquefying.
Biological matter.
Yeah, and this is not good for your pipes by any means.
Like, don't use this to clean them out.
No. He crushed the skeleton with a sledgehammer and distributed the bone fragments in the woods around his house. I'm going to take a drink of water. Getting parched. About 6 weeks after murdering Hicks, Lionel Dahmer and his new fiancée returned to the family home to find Jeffrey living there alone. This is a year after the divorce. This is pretty fast. In August of 1978, Jeffrey enrolled at Ohio State, intending to study business. He rarely attended class and spent most of his time drinking. What do you think his GPA was after his first semester?
0.25.
Close, 0.45.
Okay.
He dropped out after 3 months. The only course he did not fail was riflery.
Well, that's great.
He got a B-.
Oh, no! He didn't even get an A.
He didn't even do great at that. In January 1979, at Lionel's insistence, Jeffrey enlisted in the U.S. Army. After basic training, he was stationed in Texas as a medical specialist. Go ahead.
He probably excelled at that, actually. I mean, as much as he's going to excel at anything.
One instance of Jeffrey's insubordination.
Oh, no.
Yeah, you probably wanted to hold that thought. Caused his entire platoon to be punished, and his fellow soldiers beat him severely in retaliation.
I was going to say, they probably were not happy.
He was later deployed to Germany as a combat medic, where he was noted to be an average or slightly above average soldier.
That's the kind of recommendation and accolades I want someone to say about me.
You're average or slightly above
She's average, maybe slightly above average.
And how low is the bar that Jeffrey Dahmer is an average or slightly above average soldier?
Well, now you don't even have to have a high school diploma or a GED to get into the military, so it's not high.
By March of 81, his alcohol consumption had so negatively affected his performance that he was discharged from the Army. Surprisingly, or maybe not, He was given an honorable discharge.
I was going to say, was it honorable?
Because his superiors felt his problems in the army were unlikely to extend to civilian life.
I wonder if they went back afterwards and looked at that and see if they needed to shore up the process at all.
Maybe. And this kind of shocked me because, first of all, it's an honorable discharge. If you're doing a shit job, okay, fine.
But realistically, he didn't do anything illegal, it doesn't sound like. So you have to do something really bad to get a
But the reason
discharge.
They gave him an honorable discharge is because they said his problems aren't going to extend to civilian life, but his problems was drinking.
Yeah.
So,
but like a dishonorable discharge, if I remember correctly, is kind of like having a felony.
well, and there's also discharge other than honorable, which is kind of neither.
Okay.
Jesus.
I'm preparing for whatever horrors you have
should
for
be.
me.
Upon his discharge, he was given a plane ticket to anywhere in the country. Not wanting to go back to Ohio to face his father, he traveled to Miami.
I mean, why not?
He got a job at a deli. Actually, he said he, of course, didn't want to go back to Ohio to see his dad, and he was sick of the cold. So he's like, "Oh, send me to Miami." He got a job at a deli and rented a nearby motel room. He was soon evicted, spending all of his income from the deli on alcohol rather than paying his rent. In September of '81, he contacted his father to ask for help getting back to Ohio. Following that relocation to Ohio, he lived with his father and stepmother, but continued to drink heavily despite his father trying to keep him busy with the chores while he was looking for work. He was arrested for drunken disorderly conduct and got a suspended 10-day jail sentence. His dad tried to help break his addiction to alcohol, but was unsuccessful.
What I'm hearing during all this is there were signs. He was not like a prime citizen.
Yeah, he wasn't one who he wasn't like the in plain sight kind of guy who's in like John Wayne Gacy was in the JCs and,
Yeah.
he wasn't that. He wasn't the upstanding citizen that we sometimes see with killers. His father sent him to live with his grandmother in West Allis, Wisconsin, which is a suburb of Milwaukee. She was really the only person that Jeff had a positive relationship, and they got along great in the beginning. He would help her around the house, went to church with her, and he was actively seeking work. He did continue to drink and smoke, which were violations of her rules. But he got a job as a phlebotomist. He had medical training.
Yeah, that
somewhat.
makes sense.
But he was laid off after 10 months. Shortly before the layoff, he was arrested for indecent exposure. He spent the next 2 years unemployed. His only income was whatever money his grandmother gave him.
You should have gone down to Tampa and hooked up with my guy. Bobby Joe Long. They could have hung out together.
The Sky Fox Lounge.
Yep. The Sky Fox Lounge.
He eventually got a job working the midnight shift at a candy factory. One day he was at the West Allis Library and he was propositioned by another male patron. Although he did not accept, his teenage fantasies of dominating an incapacitated subject came flooding back. He started to frequent known gay bars and bathhouses in Milwaukee. And in late 1985, he became frustrated with his sexual partner's movements during their encounters. In '86, he started giving people alcohol laced with sleeping pills in order to incapacitate them.
And when you say movement, I get the impression you mean he didn't want them moving at all.
That's exactly right.
Yeah.
Yeah, not them relocating. He did not want them to make any movement whatsoever.
Yeah.
He was able to maintain his supply of these sleeping pills because he told doctors about his midnight shift job and said he needed the pills to keep his work schedule. After about 12 instances of dosing his sexual partners, his bathhouse memberships were revoked by management.
They noticed a pattern.
Yeah. 12 is more than a pattern. So he started using hotel rooms instead. Shortly after his bathhouse memberships were revoked, he read the obituary of an 18-year-old boy and went to his grave shortly after the burial, intending to exhume the remains. Yeah.
Don't like that.
Yeah. According to Jeffrey, though, the ground was too hard, so he gave up. So he's not a persistent chap.
No, he is not one to put the hard work in to get what he wants.
And this is where we're getting into the main focus of this story. On November 20th, 1987, Jeffrey went to a bar and he met Stephen Toomey, a 25-year-old man from Michigan.
Is that him right there?
That is him.
Okay.
He persuaded Stephen to accompany him back to the hotel room at the Ambassador Hotel in Milwaukee.
Okay, so he was moved from Florida to Ohio to Milwaukee now.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, because his grandmother lived in West Dallas, which is right next to Milwaukee.
Okay.
Invited him back to his room in the hotel, and the following morning, Jeffrey awoke to find Stephen dead in the bed. Stephen's chest had been essentially crushed, and he was covered in bruises and had blood seeping from his mouth. One of Jeffrey's One of Jeffrey's hands and forearms was injured and extensively bruised.
So he pummeled him to death.
Jeffrey went out and purchased a suitcase and transported Stephen's body to his grandmother's house in West Dallas.
Poor grandma.
A week later, he amputated the arms, legs, and head from the torso. He removed the flesh from the bones, cut it into pieces, and put it into garbage bags. He put Stephen's bones inside sheets and pulverized them with a sledgehammer.
So he's very willing to do the work for this.
Mm-hmm. The remains, with the exception of his head, were put into the trash. Jeffrey kept Stephen's head in a blanket for about 2 weeks after the murder.
That had to stink.
Yeah. Then he boiled the head in industrial detergent and bleached the skull, which he used for sexual stimulation. The bleaching process left the bones very brittle, so he hammered the skull and disposed of the pieces.
Yeah.
Jeffrey later said that he had no intention of killing Stephen. He just wanted to drug him and act out his domination fantasy. He said he had no memory of killing him and, quote, could not believe this had happened, end quote.
But he also didn't appear to be upset by it.
Wow. Despite not planning on the murder, it was a pivotal moment in Jeffrey's life, and he consciously decided to stop trying to control his compulsions and actively started trying to find victims. And this is where our special guest is going to come in and tell you and our listeners why I am doing this story and why she is our special guest.
Okay, Jadale, lay it on me.
Hit it.
Okay, well, Stephen from Michigan, Stephen Toomey, is actually my stepbrother.
God damn it!
Yep, my mom was married to his dad.
Okay. So he's from Ontonagon.
He's from Ontonagon, yes.
Of course he is.
So that's why we thought we would do the story and throw that little twist at you.
Okay.
We figured that for you for your week.
God damn it, Kyla.
Yep.
Yep. So that he's my stepbrother.
So how long was he missing for before you guys figured out what was going on?
Well, I want to say he was missing
I think I read it was
like 4 years.
I think it was 4 months.
No, it was more than that.
Because they didn't know that he did that until after he was caught for all the other stuff.
I mean, there was checks left at work and
like, you know, he was gone.
Regardless, yes. And there was, he was listed as a missing person in Milwaukee.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe it was 4 months after they'd last heard from him that they listed him as missing. I knew there was something about 4 months.
And I remember my mom calling me when this Jeffrey Dahmer story broke.
Okay.
And she said, Walt said this kid killed him.
Walt is Stephen's father.
Is Stephen's
father. Okay.
Walt is my stepdad. I remember her saying.
So did he just suspect that, or had he already been told?
No, he just suspected it.
Okay.
Yeah.
So did your family obviously then knew he was gay?
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Yeah. And just for our listeners, all these kids were adults when my mom's mom married Stephen's dad.
Okay, so you weren't like in high school.
No, so they didn't grow up as,
So you didn't grow up together, so then they got married, and then you're like, oh, you're my stepbrother now.
Well, no, no, they got married when we were adults, but they had been together years and years prior. I knew Stephen very well.
Okay.
I knew all the siblings.
Okay.
Well. Yeah, Stephen was a great guy. He was creative. He was funny.
So did you guys go down for the trial and stuff?
No, I did not. I know Stephen's sister, Dawn, was very influential in all of that stuff. In fact, there might even be videos.
There is. I've seen a couple docs where there's a clip of her. Yeah. And I remember learning about this growing up, going to my grandma's house and I would see that photo. That's his senior
And this
photo.
is the Moo grammar, right? Okay.
Seeing that senior photo with all the other kids' photos, and I was like, "Who is that?" And my mom would say, "That's Steven." And when I was little, she would just say, "He died."
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then eventually, when I was like 14, I think, I said, "Hey,
How did he die?
what happened to Steven?" And
Yeah.
then she said, "Well, he was killed by Jeffrey Dahmer." And I was
Yeah.
like, "Oh my God."
Yeah. Now, the answer you were expecting, you were thinking like car crash.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the exact picture up on
Yeah,
the
that's
wall.
his
That's his
graduation
graduation picture.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, and I just remember, it was there with all the other kids, but all the other kids I had seen
Yeah.
at Christmas or whatever.
They were all around.
Yeah, because when this story broke, it was broke on the basis of the current victims.
Yeah.
Stephen wasn't found out about till later.
Yeah.
And that's
So, 'cause
why
they were
my
looking at-
stepdad knew. He just said, I know he got him.
Because they were going on the people that they found in that
Exactly.
apartment in Milwaukee.
Exactly. He was questioned and shown a picture of Stephen. Mm-hmm. And he
Because they're like, oh,
Yeah.
here's more missing people.
Yes.
Is this one of
Yeah,
yours?
and he admitted he knew him, and he woke up in the hotel room. And,
Well, because like Milwaukee's a bigger city, obviously, than Houghton or Ontonagon, but the gay community there is going to be very small, and they're going to know who's who.
yeah, but yeah, I always felt bad because my stepdad knew. He just knew.
He knew before he even knew.
before-
And that's
Even-
hard because you just have to then wait to see if you
Yes.
find out what happened to your son.
Yep. It was a crazy time. The media was insane.
Were they all up in Ontonagon?
They were all. I mean, from all over the country. The phone never stopped ringing.
Well, and that's
They were
crazy
banging
because
on
it's
the
not like there's a
door.
lot of places for them to stay in Ontonagon
No,
when they're
They
looking.
were coming from all over the country.
That's
banging on the
insane.
door. It was insane.
You're like, I just want to go to work. Please leave me alone.
Yeah, no, it was steady, and the phone just ringing steady. I mean, I swear every 30 seconds that phone was ringing.
Well, and remember, guys, like this is the 70s and 80s,
Well,
right? This is 80s, so it's
this
not
would
like,
have been he was killed in 1987. When everything kind of broke, it would have been mid 1991.
but there weren't cell phones then. It wasn't
No.
like you could just like block a phone number. This
No.
is like a landline.
Yes, this was a landline.
You have to unplug it if you don't want it to
Yeah,
ring.
and eventually that's what we had to do because I
Was it
told
the same
that-
number? Was it her 4324 number?
Yes, it was.
I wondered if
it
she
was
ever had to
just-
change
I
it.
mean, you had
I still remember my grandma's her phone number from childhood.
journalists just showing up. I mean, just randomly 8:00 in the morning.
That would
beating on the
be
door.
that would make me so uncomfortable if I'm just like sitting at home minding my business in like my comfy clothes, like just propelling in the wind. And like a reporter just shows up and knocks on the door.
Yeah, and I mean that's how it was for quite a while.
And it's not like now where you have a Ring camera
Yeah.
and you could be like from the comfort of your couch being like, go away.
In my grandparents' house, it was just outside of town, but you had to know where it was because it was kind of in a she had like a U-shaped driveway.
So like when I'm coming out of where I work there in Ontonagon,
It would be across the bridge.
so I'm going to like Silver City.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's out that way. It's only like 2 miles out of town, but
But it's not like in the main drag
No.
anywhere.
No.
no, and there's no GPS, so
No.
someone had to tell them.
So
or
someone
they
in
had
town narked and said where she, but they probably just went down to like the Shamrock or something, or to the American Eagles place. American Eagles, god damn it.
American Eagles.
Not the American
What,
Eagles,
to the American Legion?
the Eagles Club.
The Eagles Club.
Yes.
Okay.
We tried to go to the Eagles over Labor Day because I was going to show her when it was closed when we went there.
Where she would go hang out in
When it
her,
was closed?
her toddler years.
It was in the evening.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
During the rec center they had closed, but and like I said, I don't remember any of this. So everyone did a really good job of keeping us away from it.
Well, yeah.
Well,
because
how old were you in 91?
at this point I would have been 5.
Yeah, 'cause I was 11.
We lived in the house that Stephen Stacy lived in.
Which is not far from where
So is that not the house? So you
couple-
didn't live in the house you were in?
No, we
now?
moved there shortly after.
Okay, so where was the original house?
Across the bridge on the other side of the highway,
Okay.
kind of back, but still not far. I mean,
Yeah.
maybe a mile as the
Yeah.
crow flies.
But I mean,
Okay.
like,
I mean, everything's
when all
really
this
close.
went down, you weren't brought to Grandma and Grandpa's house.
No.
Like, you weren't there.
Yeah,
Because you didn't-
you couldn't.
yeah,
you
of,
couldn't.
of course.
You don't want
And-
to expose your kids to the media
No.
that's there.
No.
But I also don't remember oddly being not brought to grandma's house either.
Because your mom did a good job of making everything seem normal, so you didn't know what was going on.
I had absolutely no idea that this was happening. Like I said, till I was 14.
Yeah.
Does this say something about your powers of observation?
Well, I was also 5. I couldn't drive, so it wasn't,
Like, I was a stately 11 at this time.
It was too far to ride my bike, so it wasn't...
Well, yeah, you're not going to ride your bike down the main highway there. That would have been dangerous.
No, it wasn't like she lived right next door, and...
Yeah.
Yeah, good insight. And I have a little bit more here to talk about, but that's why we wanted to tell you this. And that's why I kind of gave that preface in the beginning that I'm not telling this to shock and awe because of the things he did.
I never knew that one of the people that he murdered was from the UP, much less Ontonagon, much less your uncle.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
So you're not terrible for that.
Thank you.
People are usually shocked when it, and sometimes it does come up.
Yeah.
It just... comes up. Somebody says something, and even where I currently am employed, they were like, "What?"
Yeah,
and I'm like, "Yeah."
And I think it was part of where it was so sensationalized that the victims got lost.
Yes.
We're trying to not do these days, where we're giving focus to the victims rather than the perpetrator. But that was the total opposite then.
Well, probably. Going through that process where they focused on the perpetrator, they learned that, we have to not say their name as much.
And to be honest...
And also, don't hound the victims' families. Like, they're going through enough.
Right. And can you imagine... I mean, I think of how bad it was in Ontonagon. I can't even imagine what it was like...
In Milwaukee.
For those families.
Because, like, some of the families were just in Milwaukee proper, and they had easy access to those guys.
Absolutely. And like I said, I mean, there were big news places coming to our house and calling and all that stuff. It wasn't like it was just TV6.
Yeah.
No, these were big-time news places. NBC, I mean, big ones. Okay.
I would have been like, I'll talk to you if you can say the name of this town correctly.
And none of them...
It's not Ontonagon.
We didn't indulge any of them. The phones got disconnected. The doors got slammed.
Well, no, your family died. You don't want to deal with them.
And especially on that level.
Yeah. Yeah, it's not like, the Gazette stopped by and said, hey.
Yeah.
You have people setting up cameras.
Or the Ontonagon Herald.
Yeah.
It was...
Which apparently published once a week.
Yeah, exactly.
Herald S. writer
was...
was...
They just weren't indulged.
Because the Ontonagon Herald, the person who takes all the phone calls, writes all the articles, and does all the printing is like the same guy.
Yeah.
Harold S. Writer wasn't at Grandma's house. Okay, so that's kind of why I did this story.
Okay.
And I want to finish this out because I don't want to let the other victims go unknown. I'm not going to tell each of their stories because, like I said,
that's extensive.
This would be probably 4 hours long.
And it's been covered. So.
But I do want to name them as well because they're just as important. So the rest of Stephen's victims, I have a list here, and then I have a little bit about the aftermath, his trial and that. And I have the date, their name, and their age. So I'll just read these. And these are after so Stephen Hicks, Stephen Toomey, and then starting with number 3. January 16th, 1988, James Dox Tator, 14. March 24th, 1988, Richard Guerrero, 22. March 25th, 1989, that's 1 day apart. Oh, no, 1 year and 1 day. Anthony Sears, 22. May 20th, 1990, Raymond Smith, 32. June 14th, 1990, Edward Smith, 27. September 2nd, 1990, Ernest Miller, 22. September 24th, 1990, David Thomas, 22. February 18th, 1991, Curtis Strader, 17. April 7th, 1991, Errol Lindsay, I don't have an age for him, or this next one, I don't know why I did that. May 24th, 1991, Tony Hughes. So you can, the time is getting closer and closer.
Yeah, like his recycle period. What did you use? His refraction period? His refractory period?
Refractory period, which is not what I meant when I said it last time. Cooling off period.
But we're going to stick with refractory period from here on out.
May 27th, 1991, Conorak Synthosomophone, 14. And that's the one I'm just going to give a little aside. That's the young boy.
That's the one that got him caught.
No.
No?
That's the one who escaped and the police brought him back to Jeffrey Dahmer's apartment.
And then he died.
He's also the one whose older brother was molested by Jeffrey Dahmer a few years before. June 30th, 1991, Matt Turner, 20. July 7th, 1991, Jeremiah Weinberger, 23. July 15th, 1991, Oliver Lacey, 24. July 19th, 91, Joseph Bradahoff, 25. Jeffrey Dahmer was arrested on July 22nd, 1991, after his intended victim, Tracy Edwards, was able to escape the apartment and flag down police. He agreed to accompany the officers back to the apartment, where they found Polaroids of human remains and a decapitated head in the refrigerator. Over the next 2 weeks, a 178-page confessional document was created and signed by Jeffrey. He declined to be represented by counsel during the interrogation and admitted to killing 16 men in Wisconsin and one in Ohio. That was his first victim.
Well, I mean, they had him dead to rights.
Well,
here.
yeah, I mean,
you found a head in his fridge. Like,
yeah. Prosecutors did not charge him with the attempted murder of Tracy Edwards, which was his last almost victim. They also did not charge him with the murder of Stephen Toomey.
If I was the last victim, I'd be real pissed that they did not charge him with that. And they didn't. But your uncle didn't get.
No.
Why?
Stephen's murder was not charged because the DA only wanted to include those that could be proven beyond a reasonable doubt, and Dahmer had no recollection of the murder, nor was there any physical evidence of the crime.
I mean, I guess from a legal standpoint, I get why you want an ironclad case, but that's still shitty.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and I don't want to say it's just another log on the fire, because, you know, he's a person and he deserves justice just like everyone else. Mm-hmm. But also at some point, you have to look at the big picture.
Is it more important to get him
Yeah.
than... And I get, like, where the lawyers are coming from, but it's shitty for the families.
His trial began on January 30th, 1992, and ended on February 15th, 1992. The jury did find him sane and responsible for the 15 murders for which the trial was being held, with 2 jurors dissenting on the sanity portion. So 2 of them did not believe he was sane during these many, many killings.
But the definition of legal insanity is different than the psychological insanity.
He was sentenced to life in prison plus 10 years for the first 2 counts, and received a mandatory sentence of life in prison plus 70 years for the remaining 13 counts. Wisconsin had already abolished the death penalty in 1853, so that was not even anything that could be considered.
He's real lucky he didn't do this in Florida. Mm-hmm. I mean, I guess it doesn't matter either way because of how it ended, but...
After the conviction in Milwaukee, he was extradited to Ohio to face the charges for the murder of Stephen Hicks, his first victim. The hearing lasted only 45 minutes. Yeah.
Wait, is that...
That was the very first one.
Oh, okay.
When he was still in Ohio.
But he never faced charges at all for your uncle?
No.
Well, that's bullshit.
He pleaded guilty and was sentenced to life imprisonment. But he was already sentenced in Wisconsin, and those sentences were first, so he was held in the Columbia Correctional Institution in Portage, Wisconsin, which I believe is near where you were born.
You mean where the Hellmouth is?
Mm-hmm. Just about 17 miles southeast of Wisconsin Dells. He was put into solitary confinement as officials were concerned for his safety.
Would that have been the jail prison that we drove past when we were leaving Rapids to go to the Dells?
It might have been. After a year in solitary, he requested and was moved to a less secure unit. He eventually was allowed to work in the prison and was in charge of cleaning the prison gym. He requested a Bible and became a born-again Christian.
They always do.
They always
do.
The Lord, and they all are in love.
Look at me. I have repented.
Mm-hmm.
They all find the Lord.
He was baptized in May 1994 in the prison whirlpool.
Of course he was.
And why does the prison have a whirlpool?
Wait, I was going to say, the prison has a whirlpool?
Well, apparently for baptism.
Yeah.
On July 3rd, 1994, Osvaldo Durruti, a fellow inmate, entered the prison chapel where Jeffrey was and tried to slash his throat with a razor blade embedded in the handle of a toothbrush. Jeffrey received only superficial injuries, however. He'd been regularly communicating with his father and stepmother, as well as his mother, Joyce, until his arrest. as well as his mother Joyce. But up until his arrest, they hadn't seen each other since 1983. So he was very estranged from his mother until he was in prison. In one phone call with Joyce, she remarked that she was concerned for his well-being, and he responded with, quote, "It doesn't matter, Mom. I don't care if something happens to me," end quote.
But also, she wasn't concerned for his well-being up until that point.
Right.
She just left him alone in a house
Well,
to, decompensate.
Well, she was taking drugs to...
And she took the preferred son and hightailed it.
On November 28th, 1994, Jeffrey started his work detail for the day with two other inmates, 37-year-old Jesse Anderson, who was convicted of the 1992 murder of his wife Barbara, and 25-year-old Christopher Scarver, who was convicted of the 1990 murder of Stephen Lohman. The three men were cleaning the showers in the prison gym and were left unsupervised for about 20 minutes.
Do not tell me that was not intentional.
At approximately 8:10 a.m., Jeffrey Dahmer was found on the floor with extreme head wounds, having been bludgeoned with a metal bar and being hit against the wall. He was still alive and was brought to the nearest hospital, but was pronounced dead about an hour later. Jesse Anderson had the same injuries and died 2 days after. Christopher Scarver had killed them both.
Mm-hmm. There is a pecking order in prison, and not everyone is well received.
No, and especially when you have children.
Yeah, because he was also a pedophile.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah, I mean,
pedophile is the
that's
bottom
bad news.
rung.
That's
Several victims who were under the age of 18. And who knows how many more
And those are just the ones
encounters
we
he
know
had, yeah.
bad news. Exactly. I do remember when he was killed. My stepfather cried. He cried.
about. Yeah. Because it's closure.
It's closure.
Well, especially because...
Even though he was
But,
going to be in prison the rest of his
yeah.
life,
Well,
he
but
was still alive.
But
yeah.
he got kind of his comeuppance
And
there.
it was
I'm
the
sure
only
as far as
closure
your
that
stepdad
Grandpa
was.
had, because there was no remains for Stephen.
No.
There was nothing.
Nothing.
He
Just a
didn't...
headstone.
There was no conviction
No,
for
because they
Stephen.
pulverized everything and
Yeah.
yeah.
There was no body, no remains, nothing to physically say goodbye to, and then he didn't even have the conviction for Stephen, so there was no ending point
Yeah.
until Jeffrey was killed.
Yeah. And that, I mean, I'm not going to say they celebrated because it wasn't. It wasn't.
It wasn't a celebration, but it was
It was
okay.
a
We
relief. We can breathe.
can
It's
release
over.
that breath we've been holding this
Yeah. It's
whole
over.
time.
We have
over.
something we can make the end point.
Yep. Exactly. And I think if I remember talking with them, I think we all knew that was going to be the end result. He was not going to make it in prison. There's just no way.
Well, no. Well, he lacks social skills. He lacks a way to join a group, and so
He went a
eventually
lot
someone's
quicker
going to
than
take him
I
out.
thought he was going to. Though.
He did not last very long, which surprised me.
No, and I don't know exactly how long it was, but it was not long.
It was about 2 years.
Yeah, and that's not long.
No. And, I think, and I didn't read too much about his prison stay other than what happened, but I think probably by all accounts, he was not a troublemaking prisoner.
I got the impression he probably just kept to himself.
Yeah, but
And that's kind of how he lived his life, aside from the awful things he did. But even while he was in school, yes, he drank at school, but he was also just kind of a quiet guy.
well, and he was well known. A lot of people go to prison, and a lot of the other inmates don't even know why you're there.
Well,
Unless you're segregated in certain areas.
and I always get the
He was very
distinctive.
sensationalized. He was on TV. Everybody.
Well,
knew
and
who
that's
he
in
was.
prison a way to make your name for yourself. If you take out someone that's famous, people are going to leave you alone.
Absolutely.
And yeah, like you said, this was news of the century
It
at
was.
that point.
It was.
This is going to be on in the prisons, everything.
Because 80 to 90s is when the serial killer phenomenon was like hitting hard and heavy.
And, everything he did was concentrated, besides the one murder in Ohio, in Milwaukee. So all the victims were there. He wasn't, a spree killer who went around. I did find it kind of interesting, though, that his death came 7 years and 8 days after he killed Stephen. So it was almost 7 years to the day, just about.
Wow, interesting. Well, he got what was coming.
He sure did.
Yeah, paybacks are a bitch.
Yeah. I mean, I'm not cheering Christopher Scarver, but
You're not sad about it either.
I'm not going to say he's a hero.
Well, he's not. He's a murderer.
He's a
in
murderer.
prison.
He's a double murderer. But I think he did what a lot of people and families wanted to do.
And I know we don't know this, but I'd be very curious to know what his motivation for doing that was.
Yeah, and I don't know.
I don't know if I never looked into that.
Yeah, I didn't spend that much time on that part of it, especially because he killed the other guy as well.
Right.
Which it wasn't like the two of them both killed Jeffrey.
Yeah.
So maybe he was just a violent guy.
Yep.
And Jeffrey just happened to be the one who was
He was
there.
in the wrong place at the wrong time, but that's how his victims got chosen.
Well, and it could be just as simple as that.
Yeah.
This other guy was in the wrong place.
Yeah.
And like, I'm in a bad mood and you're about to catch it.
Yep.
Yeah, it could have just been that. Yeah, it could have not, it could have had nothing to do with the fact that he was Jeffrey Dahmer. It could have just been, I feel
Yeah,
like
because the
he
other
killed
guy
somebody.
was just a rando.
Yep.
That's,
Well, I'm sorry your stepbrother died, and I don't want to be like, great story, because that's terrible.
No, but we wanted to spring it on you.
I was like, come on, guys. I was like, please don't be like, your mom like ate a hamburger or something with Jeffrey Dahmer. I'm like, I don't want to hear that.
No.
I know, I told her, I was like, earlier, I said, Nicole thinks the twist is that you went on a date with Jeffrey Dahmer. And I was like, she really doesn't know much about him, does she?
He really knows nothing.
I mean, I know a lot about
So
him, but
you knew like Stephen was from Michigan,
yeah,
or from the UP.
yeah.
That was it.
Yeah.
You didn't know where. You didn't.
No.
Okay.
Well, and you could pretty much ask anyone, name one of the victims of Jeffrey Dahmer, who's not someone who has a
And
personal
for me,
connection.
it's the kid that got brought back,
right.
and then the last one. That's what
But
everybody
most
knows
people,
about.
they know he has a bunch of victims. They don't know them by name,
Yeah.
where they're from, their their details. It's just, it's Jeffrey Dahmer, and the victims kind of get pushed to the
Yeah.
side.
Yeah.
Well, because when there's that many victims, it's hard to conceptualize unless you're connected to it.
Yeah, and if someone were to ask me, other than Steven, name one of his victims, I would have said, that kid. But I don't know what his name
I
is.
was thinking of the kid who was brought back. I don't know what his name is.
Yeah, exactly.
But that's who I think of.
There's
obviously
14 other victims, and so it's not out of the realm that people don't know that Stephen was from Ontonagon and was a victim of Jeffrey Dahmer. It's just one of those things where there's so many victims, they all kind of get lost.
Well, that was a very good story. I give you kudos.
Thank you.
And so now,
Yes.
to the next pour and the next plot twist.